Okay, guys, so for phase two, again, I need to reiterate, this may be a little bit different for everybody just because of the different variables we have, which are staff members' faces. We have a bunch of those possibilities, and all the different bodies we have, several different possibilities, at least 11, not to mention the ones that the people who finished the last project early were able to come up with. So keep that in mind. Be able to think through this project and try to get this to look realistic. So the next thing that I'm going to do, and that's bothering me, is I can see the rock's ears behind Mr. Eccles' head. So what I'm going to do is, in fact, I don't want to get rid of this neck piece right here. We're going to blend that in later. I'm just more worried about these ears sticking out from the side. So I'm going to go into the background layer, and I'm going to create a new layer over the top. And then I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to make it super soft and relatively large. And then I'm going to sample. If I hold down Alt, I get this little crosshair, but that's really like an eyedropper where I can select a color. So as soon as I hold down Alt, left click, you can see that I get the color in my foreground color. So watch, if I do it on the skin, I get that color. On this gold over here, I get that color. On the gray, I get that color. And if I have that color now, and I paint, it should be close to the one that's underneath. If I bring Eccles back, you can see that, yeah, so that's pretty much gone. Although I accidentally painted over the rock's neck a little bit, so I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go way back, Control Z, way back. And I'm going to do that again, maybe make my brush a little bit smaller so I can control it better. Again, sample that color. Be careful not to get the neck and get rid of the ear. Some of you may have to get rid of hair. Some of you may have to get rid of something else. Some of you have like hats or something on top of the head. You may want to use a lasso tool and cut those out and then put it over the top of your staff member's head later. I don't know. It just depends on the images that you've chosen. Okay, so again, same issue, different layer. And the reason we're doing this on a different layer is if I mess this up, I can easily either delete that layer or go into that layer and erase it rather than destroying pixels underneath on the background layer. So again, I'm going to choose a gray that's close to this ear and get rid of that. As you can see, I've got different grays sort of going on here. So I might actually alt-click around and really try to blend that in the best that I can. Nobody's really going to notice too much. I mean, you can see a little bit of a splotch there, but it's still pretty good for me. You could even, if you wanted to, get an eraser. I got my eraser. Take the opacity down a little bit and go in and erase some of that before you get to the ear and allow it to blend in a little bit, which again could help. Ooh, that eraser's got a hard edge. Let's make it super soft. Which will allow that color that I have in layer 2 to blend in a little bit more with the layer beneath. So that's one little technique and trick. Okay, so now that I've accomplished removing what I wanted to remove in the background, we're going to really work hard to blend Mr. Eccles' neck in with the rock. So this is going to be tricky because, as you can see, because of the lighting scheme in the original image, excuse me, he's got a big shadow underneath his chin and jaw, whereas Mr. Eccles sort of has this flat lighting. So we're going to have to try to mimic that the best we can. And again, because we have a mask, this should be relatively simple. I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to make it super soft, give it a little bit of size. We're going to slowly work that in. And this may look okay. It may look terrible. I might have to do it again. I might have to use some other things, other methods. But again, we want to work on going from the base up. So again, I'm in my mask layer. I have a black brush. And all I'm trying to do is blend Mr. Eccles' neck in with the rocks. So again, I'm going to go into here. And I'm going to left click and let go a few times, just in case I have to undo. That gets tricky right here because now we're getting rid of Eccles' face and adding some of the rocks. So I don't like that. I'll have to be very careful. I just undid that. Control Z to undo that. And again, I'm blending that neck in underneath a little bit. Looks better. Looks a little bit weird because that really doesn't look like Eccles' neck. But that's the best we can do so far. I'm going to get my brush again and make it a little smaller. Ooh, so now we're getting the rock back in. Got to be careful. We're getting I don't know why that was showing up, but I have black. I have my brush. Oh, I have an eraser for some reason. Get my brush. I had the eraser. I was wondering what was going on. Again, I'm trying to blend this in, and maybe we'll chisel his face a little bit. Again, I don't know why his collar's showing. Do I not have pure black? That's right. That's why I need pure black. There we go. And it's okay if we mess that up a little bit. Again, I'm trying to be very careful going around these edges. There we go. I can get white. I can switch these if I hit that little arrow. I can go back maybe with a smaller brush and bring his cheek back in a little bit. Again, I'm being very careful using the edge of my brush, using a certain softness to get that right. So there. Now we have it. It looks a little bit funny because we haven't changed hue, saturation, or levels yet, and we'll do that in the next phase. Just remember, because we have that mask, though, if we mess something up blending-wise when we're using that brush, we can always undo it with the opposite color using, whites, blacks, or anything in between if we want something semi-opaque. So that's it for phase 2. We want to get the head nice and blended into the neck. If you don't have a neck in your body that you've chosen, you should be able to see what's going on. You need to ask me how would I go about blending what you're trying to blend in, and go from there.